Welcome, everybody, to the Real Dealz podcast, one of the top real estate investing podcasts on iTunes for the last 7 years. This is the place to be for investing strategies you can actually use, expert interviews, and, of course, some good old-fashioned entertainment. Now, here's your new hosts, Elliott Smith and Cole Rudd Johnson.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Real Dealz podcast. This week we have on two awesome guys out of the Arizona area, Steve Trang and Max Jimenez. They built a pretty cool operation where they have a brokerage and a wholesale flip rental side of their business. So super excited for this one. But before we get into all that stuff, me and Elliott have been down in Arizona for a few days. We've been knocking out just episode after episode, meeting all kinds of cool guys. Super excited to get them out to you guys over the next couple weeks. But yeah, be hanging out here down in beautiful San Diego.
Yeah, we're sitting down. We're actually in Fashion Square right now doing the intro to this podcast. I rented a Tesla for a couple of days. My wife wants to get a Tesla, so we're testing it out. But yeah, man, those guys were awesome today. We actually, they do a podcast, the Real Estate Disruptors, and Tucker has been on there a month or so ago. So I met with them last week, and then we set up a time to go down to their office today, and they didn't have their new studio all the way finished, but I'm like, hey, you guys want to shoot a podcast really quick and shoot an episode? They're like, yeah, let's get it. And so kind of off of the cuff, went into it. Man, just a lot of good stuff. Steve been doing this business for quite a while, and it's a good story here in Max, how Max got partnered up with him. Steve basically built the brokerage side of the business and then started doing investing more in the 15, 16 area. It sounds like more wholesaling.
Yeah, no, they got started around 15, 16, more on the wholesaling side, and it's a pretty cool conversation because we talk a lot about what they're implementing to go from, they're 3 deals a month pretty much this month. From 2021, they're aiming to take that up to 15 deals a month. So, a lot of cool stuff there on the operations side about what they're putting in place to make that a realistic goal. Yeah,
and it's funny because the two guys that we interviewed today, we did 2 podcasts today, but they both had that baseline real estate brokerage business that was in-house. And as we're starting to see more and more, and we've talked about it quite a few in the last episodes, is this game, like, it's the guys that are actually treating this like a business that are really starting to be successful. You can still, I've always ran it as a kind of a hobby business, but we're having to step up our game this year as well. And so making sure you got dialed marketing, you got leads managers, you got somebody going on the sales calls, you got things you can do with other things you can do with the leads other than just wholesale. So we get in a lot of that stuff. And then, I really enjoyed it. So anyways, Cole said we're down here in sunny Scottsdale. I've been here this is my 3rd week.
It seems like longer than that.
Yeah, it seems like forever. We came for a week, and then they started locking Washington down. And so we're like, well, we're not going to be in the freezing cold Washington locked down. So we came down to Arizona. They're opened up quite a bit more. So met a bunch of cool guys, and we'll be loading up the podcast with some awesome guys in the next couple weeks. But so not much going on in my business. We got the clear to close on our 8 unit that we've been talking about. So that should close on the 11th. So that's going to be pretty exciting. That's another $1 million plus asset under management that we'll have. That will cap us at 37 units bought for the year. So definitely a good year. Now we got to stabilize everything, and kind of decided we're not going to buy any more rentals in Washington with how these freaking policies are going, though. So
don't blame you.
Yeah,
with our stuff, I mean, we're still our wholesale operations rolling. We got 2 flips going on, so just starting getting our feet wet in that. Not a ton else. I mean, just rolling the machines, cooking. Where we got some deals closing this week, some new contracts. So yeah, just keeping it rolling, keeping the pipeline full. Spending a lot of time on our Call Magic stuff.
Yeah, interesting conversation though we had. So you're doing really good this year. Yeah, now it's tax season. Like, thinking end of the year, you're like, man, I'm gonna have a huge tax bill to pay. So you're starting to thinking more about rentals and how to minimize taxes. So, kind of, what is your thought on getting into rentals, or what are you kind of?
I mean, it's kind of a cool problem to have because for so long I didn't really care that much about taxes. I wasn't making, significant enough amount where it like mattered.
Yeah.
But yeah, for this year, it's now kind of getting into what I'm gonna be paying for 2020, trying to figure that out.
So, well, yeah, you're paying almost enough in taxes probably at some point in some markets to buy a house or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, man, I'd rather have some tax benefits. So Other than that, I got nothing, man. I think it's a great show. I think everybody's gonna like it.
Yeah, no, it's upbeat. It's I feel like we didn't stick too long on any subject. We really kept it rolling. It's to see all the different aspects of their business and how they work together.
Yeah, and it was in person. So if you want to watch the video, we'll put it up on YouTube also. But it was 4 of us like around a table, around the microphone and the camera, and had a lot of good laughs, had a good time. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll check you on the next one.
All right, Real Dealz podcast listeners, I want to talk quickly about our show's sponsor, Iron Bridge Lending. If you guys have not reached out to Iron Bridge already to talk to them about funding some of your upcoming flip projects, I highly encourage you to do so. I've known the owner of Iron Bridge for a very long time. I personally borrowed millions of dollars from them over the years to do a number of different projects, and I can say without a doubt, they are the best hard money lending company I have ever come across, and that is the reason why they are the sole sponsor of this show. I've had a lot of other companies reach out to me and want to sponsor this show, but I just won't do it. I feel like I need to be genuine in who we have sponsoring the show, and it needs to be somebody that I've personally done a ton of business with. So I personally vouch for their ability to be the best, hands down, in the world of hard money lending. You won't find better programs, you won't find better terms, and they're lending or will be lending in over 20 states. So chances are, if you're hearing this in whatever state you're in, it's definitely worth it to check out their website, reach out to them, see if they're lending in your state, and if they are, I would absolutely encourage you to do business with them. Another very cool thing to note is that they have a program for most rehabs where you can actually borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. Now, this is given the fact that you are actually buying a deal, which if you're listening to the show, that means you probably are. But if you have an actual deal on the table, they'll fund up to 90% of your purchase price, and they'll even give you rehab funds on top of that, which means that it only takes 10% down to get into a project, which is unbelievable in the hard money world. So do yourself a favor, reach out to Iron Bridge Lending, have a conversation with them, see if they're a good fit for you and for your next project. I can guarantee you that you'll be happy that you did.
Yeah. What's going on, Real Dealz podcast guests? We are here in Tempe, Arizona with a couple guests. We just decided to show up and say, hey, let's do a podcast. So Steve Trang and his partner Max, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Got a true roundtable.
Yeah, true roundtable. So we're just gonna kind of spitball and talk and have a conversation. We got about 45 minutes, and if anybody doesn't know, and Steve Trang's got Real Estate Disruptors podcast. He's got a lot of businesses down here with him and Max, and they'll kind of get into that. But they're putting out great content, so make sure you guys are giving them a listen as well. So why don't you guys kind of get into it and let us know who you are?
So I'm Steve Trang, obviously. We're in Stunning Homes Realty, right? So I got the brokerage. I got my traditional real estate team in one of the offices back there. We got Max Cash Offers, our distressed company. Those 2 offices over there. We got our title company, next building over. And then we got the classroom next door, and we're in the podcast here. This is actually the first recording.
Nice.
Yeah.
We popped your cherry. What's that?
There you go.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be the first anymore, man.
Yeah. So awesome. And so and then Max, what do you kind of do in the business?
So my name's Max Jimenez. So Steve and I have been business partners for 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. Yeah.
But we've known each other for 4 years, 4.5 years. So pretty much we're business partners on Max Cash Offers. I run the operation, sales, and everything that involves the stress side, right? The wholesale side and investment side. And then we're also partners in Disruptors as well too. So
yeah, our sales training mastermind program.
Yeah. How did you guys come together as partners in the off-market stuff?
I found him through Craigslist.
Okay.
Right.
On
sale.
The encounters, the romantic encounters, or was it?
Backpage.
No, so it's a great
casual encounters.
It's a funny story because when I do a podcast, I always ask how did you Steve meet? And so I was working construction actually at that time, and so I started real estate back in 2015. And I was on my own for about a year, and then I wanted to do my job. I didn't want to be at my job anymore, but I didn't want to leave without having a safety net, right?
Yeah.
That's what we all call. So I went on Craigslist and I looked a couple ads, and there was an ad there that said Rockstar Inside Sales Agent. I think it was, right? That's what you had named it.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So and then you would fill out the survey, and then you have to call. So my message was on there was, hey, just looking for a shot. If you don't like the way I work in 30 days, you're free to fire me.
Gotcha.
And so I got a call within 2 minutes.
Nice.
Steve ended up calling me and came to work for Steve for about 3 months, I would say.
Yeah.
And I quit.
How many years ago was this?
That was 2016.
2016.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you know, like they say, you know, you're trying to find like a salesperson, you have them leave a voicemail to see how good they are on the phone.
Yep.
And so that was the voicemail I got.
Nice.
Right?
That's awesome.
Sounded confident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why'd you quit? You quit 3 months later?
Yeah, so I quit 3 months later because I was, again, I was involved in wholesaling. I hadn't gotten my first deal yet, but I didn't want to be involved in the job that I was in, right? Construction. I wanted to be around real estate full time.
Okay.
And instead of taking a full leap and taking a full jump without knowing that anything was coming in. So Steve kind of gave me an opportunity to come in and work, and I rocked the position. I mean, and so I got my first deal like when about 2.5 months into the position, and it was like for $11,500, the first deal. And I said, Steve, we need to talk. So now when I say, Steve, can we talk? He's like, you're not fucking quitting. So then I went on my own, and for the next year and a couple of months, went on my own. And me and Steve kept in touch, though. We hit it off, and we became very good friends. And I would call him for advice. And I had another guy that he wasn't officially a partner because there was nothing in writing.
Yeah.
But we were working together doing deals, and that got kind of weird. That relationship got kind of weird, and then I was reaching out to Steve and telling him what's going on, and then Steve and I in 2018 met up, right? Like in March.
Yeah, partnered up in April of 18.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In 2016, well, you guys must have been doing just mailing back then, huh? It probably
PPC.
looked a lot different.
PPC.
Steve was doing PPC.
Yeah,
I was just doing letters and bandit signs.
I've been doing PPC since like 2011.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he was calling those leads, booking appointments. He was doing a good job with it. And that's one of the things when I was talking to him, he's like, yeah, I want to get in wholesale. I was like, well, I'm in wholesale.
Yeah.
So, why don't you come over here? We'll work together.
Nice.
How was it when you went on your own? Like,
well, I'm a maverick, so it's like I just take action, and I mean, obviously, I don't really think about what the effects is going to be at that moment until I'm already involved. And but I mean, it's you just got to take action, man. Honestly, I didn't feel scared or anything like that. It was just, let's go.
Get after it. Yeah.
Get after it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you guys partnered up. Sorry about that ding. I don't know how to. Got to turn that thing off of my.
Mute that?
Yeah, I don't know how to.
Hold on. Amazon packages.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know how to mute.
Buy more Amazon stuff than my wife.
Mute speakers.
Well, I won't screw up our sound. Will if I mute the speakers? No.
No, you won't.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I'm back into it, Dan. All right. So then you guys partnered up, and you're like, how'd that look? What were you guys doing for marketing? What were you doing? What did your sales team look like, Steve? And
yeah. So for me, even though we were doing PPC, we're buying deals and wholesaling. I wasn't actively doing it. I was kind of doing it as a side hustle. So because I had my traditional real estate team, and I was just really focused on getting listings. So my vision for Max when he started working for me in 2016 was like, all right, eventually I'll have this guy running my investment arm. So I got my retail arm, I got my investment arm. And so, he left, like, okay, well, that sucked because that was the plan.
yeah.
But then, as we kept in touch, like, okay, he was feeling frustrated with his existing situation. So I said, you know what, instead of, paying you to run our investment arm, why don't we just partner, and then we can still do it together. So at that time we weren't huge, we were doing, I don't know, I was probably doing a deal every other month. So not huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we since scaled. So, and we're not the biggest. We've never claimed to be the biggest. So we're doing 2-3 deals a month in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And so the plan for 2021 is to get it to 15 to 20 with some of the marketing we're going to be doing. But
keep it lean, right? It sounds like.
until 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Steve's a little bit modest here, but we keep it like we don't do as many deals, but our profitability is really high.
Gotcha.
That's the thing, yeah. So we focus more on profit than because most you see a lot of people. I got 27 contracts. I got 25 contracts.
Yeah.
It's like,
What are you taking home at the end of the day?
yeah, what are you taking?
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was doing like 12, 15 deals a month, and my old business partner separated from him, and my top sales guy, Mike, who's in another room, I made him a 50-50 partner, and then we cut down to like 4 or 5 a month.
Right.
Way leaner, way higher profit
Nice.
margins. And
Yeah, you're making the same amount of money with less stress.
taking home way more actually.
Yeah.
Taking home more with way less stress, and
Right.
unfortunately, we have like a 3,000 square foot office space. It's pretty much empty now. But
Casualties.
yeah.
So you said you want to go up to like 15, 20 deals a month in 2021 with some different marketing. What are you guys planning on doing, marketing wise? What are you guys looking at changing or implementing to get out there?
Sure. I could tell you, as of Monday, so 2 days ago, We're now officially running ads on TV in Albuquerque.
Gotcha.
Oh wow.
So we're going.
Any calls?
Oh yeah, we've gotten a lot of calls.
Really?
Yeah. We got I think yesterday there was a total of 4 calls and then 3 form submissions that come into Podio.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
What is it costing you to run ads on TV in that? I don't know how big that MSA is.
10,000 a month.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
TV spend. That's not even including like
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's
the
just the
company.
TV spend.
Higher
Yeah.
quality leads though. What's the lead avatar look like coming from that?
Yeah, so right now we don't know like exactly what it's gonna look like. We're getting mixed right now, right?
Okay.
So we're getting a little bit of retail, a little bit of people that are ready to go at the same time, but they still want a little bit higher price. But I think that's because of the market, right?
Yeah.
You speak to a lot of sellers now, and they know the market's booming. So I think what we need to do, probably what I'm looking at, maybe adjust our approach a little bit, because you got to remember these people that are calling and they see your commercial, they know what you do, so you're able to get a little bit more aggressive, right? More direct. This is this is why you're calling us, and here's what we can do for you.
Yeah.
But right now, I wish I had a better answer for you, but it's kind of a little bit of a mixture right now.
Yeah.
I also feel like with TV ads, like cold calling, SMS, RV, what everyone's doing, it's harder to like make yourself seem legit to a seller. At least
Yeah,
if you're not,
yeah.
especially when you're starting out. But a
Right.
TV ad right away,
But you got authority because they know it costs money to be on TV.
So I'll share with you
and
guys.
people think it costs a lot to
Yeah.
be on TV.
Yeah. So I'll share with
yeah.
you guys something that was funny, which is actually cool. So the guy that we're working with right now, so Ruben, who's our head of acquisitions, he says the guy called him. He's like, you know what? I've been trying to sell my house, so I thought I'd call someone local. I saw you on TV.
Nice.
And everyone's like, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How did you guys choose Albuquerque?
So when we're looking at options, there were a few different markets, and what we wanted to do, like Phoenix was out, so Doug Hopkins is here.
Yeah.
So
Oh, for TV ads.
for
Gotcha.
TV.
Gotcha.
Right.
Doug Hopkins, I don't know.
He's like one of the biggest guys. I mean, he's doing 30 deals a month in Phoenix alone.
Really?
Yeah.
He's
So
all over TV.
so we weren't going to compete against him here, and then we're just looking at markets around the country, and we're looking at Albuquerque. We're looking at Boise too, but Albuquerque is so much like our market that it's not that far. Like if we ever had to, we can get in the car. Not that we would, but if we ever had to, like
Gotcha.
it's really
Gotcha.
close.
You guys don't have a private jet sitting out back, or I see all these guys.
Oh,
posting
Sauce
on-
in a real estate
Yeah.
disruptor jet.
Yeah. Oh, you got the chopper. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just got to hit my Instagram buddies
Yeah.
with their private jets.
Yeah.
If it all fails, we'll just drive the Tesla.
So what you're saying is it's kind of like direct mail almost. Is when somebody calls you up direct mail, I'm raising my hand, I want to sell, whether it's retail or wholesale or whatever.
Correct.
Instead of like a cold call or a text where you're calling them, and I always equate it to like it's like somebody called me and said, "Hey, I want to buy your truck." Well, how much you want to pay for it until you start finding out motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
So you instantly have the authority with that.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're cold calling. It's disruptive, right? That's you're interrupting them, which is it's effective. It's how we've gotten a lot of our deals. But with TV, like you said, they've raised their hand. Like that's what they've done all the heavy lifting for marketing, and now you just gotta go close it.
Yeah, so now you're the hunted. Right?
Yeah,
That's the way you kind of look at it. With all the other stuff, cold calling, text message, RVM, whatever you want to use, you're the hunter, right? You're trying to find that deal. TV, PPC, well, even PPC. I mean, we'll get calls from PPC, and I'll answer, and we have testimonial videos on there, and they're like, "Oh, you're the guy in the video?" Like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah.
You're famous.
It's funny. I get that all the time when I'm doing for a cold calling onboarding, and they're like, because they heard me on Bigger Pockets or whatever, or our podcast, and I hop on the onboarding call, and they're like, oh shit, it's you. I'm talking to you. Like, and all of a sudden I have that immediate authority, right?
Yeah.
And so same kind of deal, right?
Same deal.
So that's Albuquerque. So we launched that Monday this week, and then come January we're going to be going on in Phoenix on Univision and Telemundo. I'm saying it wrong. How do you say it?
Univision.
Univision?
Univision.
Yeah.
So we're doing that come January, and then we're launching direct mail as well.
Nice.
And Albuquerque too.
I know here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Albuquerque's just TV ads.
Yeah, for now.
Gotcha.
Where are you guys
For
doing?
now, if TV takes off, Steve and I have been talking a little bit of maybe PPC, but if TV takes off, I think TV alone is gonna be it.
So on you guys' operation right now, is marketing in the Phoenix area? Are you doing the SMS and the RVM and the cold calling, or is it still PPC focused?
Unofficially, yes.
Unofficial.
Yeah.
Can't confirm or
Can't confirm or
Yeah, I
deny.
can't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
What we had a conversation last week, everybody, since Jason Nichols launched Sherpa, 2018, seems like maybe a couple years ago.
Right.
I mean, that lead source was great, right?
Yeah.
And now we're getting some issues coming on. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. What I mean, I know it still works unofficially,
but they're changing some things that they're doing with Batch and Lead Sherpa right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got the opt-out part, right? So someone was telling me, I can't remember who told me, like they're not going after necessarily the guys texting, but they're going after the providers selling the numbers.
Gotcha.
Right, and so those guys now have to force the opt-out language.
Gotcha.
Right, so that's why that's happening, and now we're getting great response rates because they're hitting stop.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, so
Unofficially.
We're unofficially. We're not saying
My
we.
friends.
Yeah.
My friends are telling me.
Well, we have opt-out. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the opt-out. What is it? The DNC opt-out KPI compared to the response rate, it went skyrocketed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But,
because I know Batch just came down with a new thing. I mean, not that we would ever text DNC numbers, but they accidentally pulled all the DNC numbers out of the. Now you can only text like this many out of the 100 numbers, right?
They pulled the DNC out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unofficially.
Wow.
Yeah. This week, random, just no warning.
I know there's some. I don't know if Batch is doing this, but there's some that I've heard that are now wanting you to have your own Twilio account, which is
The Batch is doing that.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
it's Pluvio or Twilio.
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha. Yeah.
Which is, I think, in real estate, the marketing. At least I've only been in the game for 3 years, but it's constantly changing. So like everyone goes to a new thing, and the old things like mail's going to start working again eventually. So I think it's just being ahead of the game a little bit.
Yeah, and we get to see, right? I mean, we hear the feedback from everyone else and what they're struggling with.
Yep.
So when we're hearing like texting's a problem, it's like, okay, so how do we pivot?
Yep.
And that's all we're looking at. So
Yeah, I knew about texting like in the beginning of the year, probably even towards the end of last year, right?
I mean, we saw
Yeah.
the writing was on the wall once the Trace Act was passed in January.
Yeah, I remember that.
writing
I remember that.
was on
Yeah.
the wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're doing TV and the PPC possibly, and then
PPC.
loading up direct mail. What do you guys? Are you guys going to be a postcard guys, handwritten letter guys? What are you kind of guys?
We're gonna do whatever Todd Swaggerty says to do.
Gotcha.
Right. I mean, so like, I'm a very big fan of just trusting the professionals for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, hey Todd, what's working? You've got lots of big clients. What are they doing?
Yep.
And they say, this is what they're doing. Let's do that.
Yep. Same with us on we use Justin open letter marketing, and so same deal. I think they're competitors definitely, but same. Trust those guys. What's working?
I mean, why try to reinvent the wheel? Like they run a company.
Yeah, exactly.
that does this.
Yep.
It's like going to your doctor and it's like, well, I know that's what you think the test says, but here's what's really going on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with TV, right? So when we started doing TV, we're part of a mastermind. So there's a couple guys that know how to approach like the what do they call those account executives or whatever for the channels and stuff. But if we got like a company like what is it? What's the name of the company?
Bullseye Branding.
Bullseye Branding, but they have a plug and play. So
right. So we could go and call channel 12, channel 10, negotiate with all these different stations. We could.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that would cost.
Yeah.
Right. Or we can just use them.
Yeah.
Because they do it for everyone else.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And does your wholesale and retail side work together? Because like a big issue I think a lot of people face that have wholesale operations is monetizing as many leads as they can. So are you guys passing stuff from your wholesale to the retail side and monetizing them that way?
Yeah, we are. What's great because in our Podio, it's all automated, right?
Yep.
Automated just directly. As soon as we find out that it's a listing, click listing referral, automatically sends all the information over to the agent that we have on there.
You guys get a pretty good conversion with that, or?
Yeah, it's
gotten better.
It's gotten better.
I tried it. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
How do you guys approach it? I talk to a lot of people because with the cold calling is a lot of those leads are retail. How do you guys approach it when say somebody calls back from the retail listing side? How are they approaching that seller?
So it goes one of two ways. So we talk to them and it sounds like it's a retail lead. So we'll just say it sounds like you're trying to get full market value. It's like, yeah, it is. Got it. Okay. So I'm assuming you got a realtor that you're in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say yes or no. It's like, I got a realtor I'm in love with. Okay, great. Glad you got this taken care of. And we pass it off as a cold referral.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm not in love with them. It's like, oh, so maybe, we have someone that specializes in that area, would it make sense for us to make an introduction?
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, okay, now we got a warm referral. Either way, it's a referral. It's either going to be a warm handoff or a cold call.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Nice.
Of course, the agent on the other side is going to be comfortable doing the cold call approach because
That's the hard part. Finding
That's
a good agent to handle it.
I
I always tell somebody it needs to be a young, hungry agent.
Yeah.
Somebody like you in 2016, right? That's young and hungry.
or it's got to be a team that's got, you know, a leader and that's got a buyer's agent, leads manager, the team, like 3 to 5 people on their team. It's like a well-oiled machine.
It definitely can't be an agent that don't answer the phone after 5 p.m.
Yeah, seriously. What, you guys answer your phone after 5 p.m.? Oh man.
Or after 3 p.m. Or after lunch meeting.
This is in my nap time. Yeah, that's really where you're going at 110 is nap time.
It's important.
Yeah, but yeah, it wasn't always perfect, like Steve says. I mean, but if it's gotten better, and we've gotten. I mean, this past month, I think we had in November we converted like 4 or 5 listings.
Good.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, are you guys?
Matter of fact, we actually converted to a listing referral. She signed them up, and then we bought it.
Nice. Yeah, that's another reason you got to work with somebody you trust, either in office or like, because a lot of times they'll go there and say, "Oh, my house is perfect and it's a retail ready house." They go there, it's not, and it's actually a wholesale situation.
Right.
They got to be willing to kick that back to you at that point, knowing that, hey, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and they would get paid either way, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's the thing. You got to be clear.
Yep. So all right, so you guys are doing real estate. Are you guys buying any real estate rentals? Are you actually holding any assets? What's your?
So I've got a couple. I'm trying to buy more. I had a hefty tax bill. I could have bought another house last year with that tax bill.
Yeah.
So since then, I'm on the hunt for real estate.
So, yeah, 2021 is going to be, that's the goal.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm kind of the same
Yep.
boat.
Yeah. See, we hit the gas this year. We bought
man.
2. Yeah, because as soon as we had one under contract, and then we bought one, and then COVID hit. We had another one under duplex under contract at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, I see the writing on the wall. They're putting all this money out. Asset inflation is going to go crazy. So then we bought so we had 2 duplexes, a 24 unit, and now we just got the clear to close on an 8 unit,
Nice.
over
Awesome.
$1 million. Awesome. And then we had a single family as well that we were living in, and then we always live in a property, go buy another property, live in, then make that a rental.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, I think you want to get as many $20 out right now, or $21 out into the market.
Right.
You know, if you can, question is, can you build it for this much? If not, you know, you might have a good property here, and as long as the cash flows.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it really just comes down to just the depreciation component. I mean, like everything else, cash flow is nice, right? You want to have cash flow, but at this point,
You need taxes.
I was sick.
Yep.
With that tax bill.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. Yeah. And so it does help. And then now with Trump, we'll see that probably will get written off, but you can do the cost segregate it, so you can hyper depreciate these assets.
Well,
right?
we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm kind of nervous about the 1031.
They won't get rid of it. I would bet money they won't get it.
I don't think anyone wants that on their track record of getting rid of 1031.
It's been around since like the 30s or something like that, and they can't kill real estate. That's the problem. That's why the Fed's bought $2 trillion worth of mortgage-backed securities.
1984, 1986, man, they rewrote the whole tax code, and that screwed a lot of things up.
Yeah, true that. Yeah. So so you guys got your partnership. What are your kind of I know you have a couple kids. You're not that old. You're what? 31.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that last week. Like
25.
I started early.
Yeah.
Yep, was 19. My son was born, so yeah, he's 20 now.
So how's your life look now? Are you working a ton? Are you focusing on family and work, or are you having a good balance? Or
yeah, so it took me a while to get there, right? To have that balance, and I always, obviously with Steve, he's been a big mentor to me to help me, transition to that, because when we partnered up, I wanted to do everything. Like I was the one that always, I need to go get this done. And then had to release some of that, right? Trust factor and trusting others to do the job that they needed to do.
He's a doer. It's great. It's a great quality.
It's just like once he gets going, it's just.
I'm not a doer.
We were talking about.
I am on some stuff, but I'm inherently lazy. So I want to find out. My partner always bitches at me. He's like, "You're the world's best delegator." Like I don't even know you're delegating to me until I finally figured out. Like 30 minutes later, you delegated.
Quick story on that. So we were in Lake Chelan. There's like a lake up in Washington this summer, and I have a virtual assistant that does a bunch of stuff for me. Right. And I introduced him to Elliot. Big mistake. So Elliot, we're renting a boat that day, right? So you need a boater's license. So that morning or the day before, Elliot buys his boater unofficially buys his boater's license exam and has the guy in the Philippines do his whole boater's license test.
Wow. Unofficially. So like 7 hours later, I'm done, sir. I got an 86% unofficially on this license, and I now have a boater's license.
If Elliot ever asks anyone to get in a boat, don't get in a boat with Elliot or a car.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you.
No, that's awesome. But going back to what I was saying, this year has definitely been a shift for me. So I was staying really late with the guys. I was staying, because I love working with my team, right? Like I want to make sure they succeed, they make money at the end of the day. but I had to step back a little bit, and I had a conversation with Steve. So now I do about 2 days staying late, and then the other 3 days I end up going home early and doing stuff that I need to do with my family and stuff. So
Gotcha.
So I'm creating a good balance now. So
Nice. What about you?
So I'm very intentional with time with the family. So as a matter of fact, starting Friday last week, once I get home, I put my phone on the counter. I don't look at it again until 9.
Gotcha.
And that is painful.
So hard.
There are some withdrawal symptoms, but I'm more present with the kids, with the wife. Like last night she was hanging up Christmas ornaments, and like normally I would have just gone back and just done something like that was a waste of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my phone,
Instagram,
YouTube,
whatever.
And you kind of get lost in your world. But last night, I was there while they were putting up the ornaments, and my wife, my kids, whatever. So I'm definitely being intentional with spending time at home. Now, that's something that I can do because of the foundation that I've set, starting 2007 to like 2015-ish.
Okay.
Getting the right people, partnering up with the right people, having the right systems in place where I'm not responsible for the emergencies, right? Because like all the fires, like the things that keep you working late, it's not the I got to get this website done or whatever. Like the people that's important, but that's not the things that require you to be distracted. It's there's this fire, right? Whether it's a buyer or a seller, or you gotta swap out this buyer because this buyer bailed 2 days before close. Like those are the things that keep you working late. And so I don't have any of those urgent matters that depend on me.
All right, podcast listeners, I want to take a quick break, and I want to tell you about something I'm very passionate about, and that is our Deal Finders Academy, or the DFA, as many of you have probably heard me refer to it as. Now, the DFA has been around for almost 7 years, which is amazing that we've had it around that long, and we've had one hell of a track record with some of the biggest names from across this business having been a part of the DFA or are still a part of it today. And some of those names, just to drop a few on you, are Justin Silverio from Open Letter Marketing, Ryan Dossie from Call Porter, Jason Nickel from a little company called Lead Sherpa, Anson Young from Bigger Pockets, of course, many of you know him. How about Robert Hyder and Philip Vincent, two fine gentlemen from the greater St. Louis area who need no introduction, are very well known. How about Mr. Danny O'Bannon, the original Spokane project, a guy that I pulled back out of a day job and turned him into a crazy successful real estate investor. And of course, Artem Tepler, who's building hundreds of millions of dollars worth of multifamily all over the greater Los Angeles area. And of course, last but not least, both Cole and Elliot, who are now the hosts of this show. So as you can see, the list goes on, and there's so many other people that I didn't mention there that I've gotten the good fortune of getting to know and that are a part of the community now that are just amazing people and even more amazing investors. But for you that are a listener of the show that may be thinking, hey, you know what? I might be interested in joining that group. Here's what you get, right? Well, number one is you get to be a part of this amazing community. You get the connections. You get everything that comes along with a small and very tight-knit type mastermind, a group that isn't so big that you feel like you can't converse with people, you can't have conversations, because that's where you kind of get lost in the weeds. You want one that is just big enough that it's got reach and you've got these people that you can connect with that are amazing in their own right, but not so big that you just feel overwhelmed. And that is exactly what the DFA is. We have about 120, 125 people in the group, which is just the perfect size. And the reason why it stays at that size is because we don't overlap investors, right? One investor per one area. And that's why most people stay with us for a very long time, because by being a part of the group, you get access to all of our secret marketing strategies, negotiation strategies, tips, tricks, everything else you could possibly think of so that you can have those competitive advantages in your area and also be able to utilize the network that the DFA is, which, as you can tell, it's an amazing network. I do business with lots of people that have been in it or are currently in it right now, and plenty of other people in the group have made lifelong friendships and business partnerships within the group also. So if you're interested in joining the DFA, which I strongly encourage you to do, go to thedealfindersacademy.com, book a call, you'll chat with Dan, we'll see if we've got room in your market for you, and if we do, we'd love to make you our next DFA member.
It was 2000. Did you get hit hard at all in 2008, or what did that look like?
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah.
I think I've got my credit card statement. I printed it. I'm still, when I was going to record once the studio was up and running, I was going to record a YouTube video. But maxed out credit card, 39,000. So I was fairly upside down. A house that I bought for 300 that owed 300 on was worth 170.
Jeez.
I was
very negative.
Yeah, I wasn't at zero.
Yeah.
Like today, you can start at zero.
Yeah,
I was behind.
Yeah, we just talked to the guys. We just did a show. They're actually just down the road from you guys. Good company real estate, and they were saying the same thing because they were in the game in 2000s, and they both, were lessons are negative.
Yeah. So so Don Costa is someone that I talked to about this because he also survived that, right? And it's that we make decisions now differently than someone that hasn't gone through it.
Correct.
Because our worst case scenario is that.
Yeah.
Whereas most people's worst case scenario is like, I lose my cars, but whatever, I'll survive.
Yeah. Like my whole adult life, sorry to interrupt you, has been like, we've been in economic prosperity times like that. Like worst shit happened is like my worst time was like the weird summer or spring 2018 where I was like, this isn't that bad.
Yeah, where Seattle dropped for like 6 months.
This is a recession?
Yeah.
This is a recession?
Or even right now they're saying we're in the greatest recession, possibly ever.
This doesn't suck. So,
a lot of guys I know, they're killing it.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah, is that a lot of people's baseline isn't accurate.
Yeah,
for sure. So being through that time, and you got 3 guys around you that haven't, what do you feel like right now? 2020, we're going into 2021. A lot of uncertainty in the market, a lot of uncertainty in this, in the press. We don't even know who's going to control the Senate right now. Mm-hmm. How are you protecting your downside, and what do you see the biggest downside right now?
Well, I think the big thing is just know they can't continue. And so the things that terrify me is having a bunch of flips going on. Yep. Right. That's what terrifies me, and which we don't. We're not in that situation. Yeah. And so that's the thing I would be leery of. But besides that, that's the reason why we want to run a very high profitable business. Now, we're investing. We just bought a bunch of data last week for $20,000. We're spending $10,000 a month in Albuquerque. We'll be spending $10,000 a month in Phoenix. But we're spending it in something that we know is going to work. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we have masterminds whatever we see our peers. So we're betting on stuff that works versus, let's try this, let's try that. And so profitability is something we always target. Last year, we targeted 50% profitability, end of the year, 45% profitability for our distressed business. And then this year, the target again is 50%. We're going to fall lower than last year. Texting is a big part of our business. Right. Yeah. That was not as effective. Yeah. But I think the big thing is for a lot of people is the profitability component, cashing in your chips and not being invested in too many flips at the same time.
But so would you say flips, development, land, apartment, whatever, just like
anything that requires you to be invested in the property for more than 4 months?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Right. Because if we do a wholesale, and it falls apart, and if it's wholesale, we can always cancel and give up our earnest money, and that's the way we have contracts written. But let's say we take it down and we wholesale it, it's still, you could just drop it 15,000, somebody would buy it. Yep. Yeah. Right. But you got to flip where you still got to wait another month and a half to get through permitting or occupancy checks and whatever. Now, who knows what's going to happen in that time, and you still got all this hard money or private money that you're still burning the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest problem with, people transition from, they start at wholesaling and then just leave it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you transition just to fix and flip or developing or developing.
The sexy thing.
Yeah. The sexy thing, right? Yeah. Which, I'm a developer now. Yeah. Because you hear some of the big guy stories like Don, and you hear Sean, I don't know if you ever heard Sean Turner's story. Mm-hmm. He did the same thing. He went and put all his money into land development, right? And guess what? The market crashed.
Yeah. So, yeah. Even Ron LeGrand, he shared his story. Yeah. It was, he was invested in all these businesses because he thought he had the Midas touch. Yeah. So he was really leveraged.
Yeah. And with that, we always want to keep our wholesale business at higher than any of those other little things. And because again, if the market shifts, we just make lower offers. Yeah. Right, on our wholesale side.
Yeah. We started buying some flips, and a couple guys, Elliot, another guy who does a bunch of flips in Seattle, was like, why do you want to do a bunch of flips? And I was like, I want to change my Instagram bio from wholesaler to flip. I couldn't answer the question. Yeah, so we're definitely.
Wait, now it's going to be we interviewed Steve and Max. Yeah, that's going to be a first thing. And then I'm a flipper.
Have you seen the new podcast video? We were the first episode.
Yeah. I'm not saying don't do it. It's just that's the thing that terrifies me. Because all the ones that got crushed, it was the ones that were leveraged.
Yeah. And then if you are doing flips, what my partner and I have kind of do is we don't press. So we think we can sell it for this, but we know we can sell it for this number. So that's what we base our number. We know we can fix it for this, but shit could happen. So our fixed number is there. So we build in margins. We have flexibility, and a lot of them we're buying with our own cash. And so that's the way to do it. And so there's a lot of flexibility. Like we had a hit on one this year, 415 sale. Ended up having like on the inspection like an extra $25,000. We had a sewer line issue. We had oil tank. We had some other issues that just that we didn't know about, and so we still made $55,000 on that deal. Even so, most people will I can just make a 10% cash on cash, or I can make this, and it's like no. I need at least like on low dollar stuff in my market. I need to make at least a minimum of 35 because that should cover everything. In Vancouver, it's 45, 50 on the low end.
Yeah. So we don't do a lot of flips, like Steve says, but the ones we do are just like that. I mean, we got to make sure that we got that so much spread that in case whatever goes wrong.
And it's entry level, so it can always be a rental. It's our own cash, so we can leave our whatever.
So being that this is the Real Dealz podcast, what's the biggest assignment deal you guys have done? What was that deal? The situation?
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we've had 2 back-to-backs. Well, the month before and then last month we had it's $50K each. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Standard deals.
First one was 49. I was 49.
All right.
Sorry. No, hey, we're in the real estate game. We round up.
Yeah.
I make 250. No, fuck that. I make 500.
It was $50K. We had to pay the closing.
What was the situation with the seller? Was it just absentee? Like what was
that? So the first one was absentee. The guy bought the property for the daughter and the son-in-law.
Gotcha.
And they were supposed to stay there, take care of it. It was a manufactured home, affixed to the land, so it was real property, but it was on an 1.5 acres.
Okay.
So very nice area of North Phoenix. But then they got into some financial trouble, so the property started getting distressed. And they came back to the father, right? Like, hey, we need help with this. Like, no, I bought it for you guys to do whatever you guys need to do, not for you guys to come back and ask me for money. So they ended up moving out. They left the property vacant. And so the guy didn't want it. He's like, I don't want this property anymore. I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to do anything. So we locked it up for $150, and then we ended up signing it, or $149, and then we ended up signing it for $199.
Jeez.
Nice. So even though the flipper though got a good deal, because it came to Steve and I'm like, Steve, we got this deal. Do you want to make $100,000 in 4 months, or do you want to make $50K in the next 25 days?
So why not? That's the biggest thing. Is we started out wholesaling, and then we still will a little bit, but like on the big rehabs that would like take more than 4 months, right?
Yeah.
But I like flip. My partner flips them. We put them back together. It's just I'd rather take the extra 50.
So we would generally, we'd rather do 100. So it was 40K wholesale, 100K flip, but we were able to bump it up. The reason why we didn't on this one was that it's manufactured, it's on land, it's outside.
Location,
so we got the Loop 101, which you guys are probably a little familiar with now. It was outside of Loop 101, which is kind of like, because they're inside, like, pretty much that's always going to be good. Outside Loop 101 is like, who knows? And so even though it's a really good area and it's a high dollar area, things we're looking at is manufactured on land, and it's like, okay, like if we take it down now, when are we going to close? If we're going to wholesale it, when we're going to close? If we take it down, how much work we're going to put into it, and when we're going to close? And basically, when I asked Max those 3 questions, I didn't like it was manufactured. I didn't like it's on land because you got very few buyers, right? We're talking like a 300 plus price point manufactured.
Yeah.
59 or something. Yeah.
And then the last thing was like, when we're gonna be done is like, around early November. It's like, oh, so right after the election, what the hell with that? Get this thing sold. Let's just get paid now.
Yeah.
Who makes the decisions? Or are you joint like on if we're gonna flip them or not? How does that work?
So when it comes to something like that, we're having a conversation, right? I'm still pulling the trigger like on a lot of the wholesale deals. So just because Steve and I are pretty much on the same page on almost everything, I could say, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to something like that, because obviously we're both, when we buy something, both of us are on the line for it, right? Like we actually put our signature on it.
Yeah.
So then we say, hey, then we have that conversation. Steve, here's what I got. What do you think?
Yeah.
So,
gotcha.
So I mean, we haven't had any disagreements that were not a conversation couldn't fix.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And who are you? So you're running the marketing then for that side, or do you guys have a guy in house that's doing all that? Or
So we have a full VA team that runs ops, marketing, and data.
Gotcha.
So they're in the Philippines. 3 of them in the Philippines, and then we have our actual people who are doing cold calling is in Mexico. So we have 3 VAs in Mexico that are doing cold calling.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
what you say data? Are they like going on TLO, pulling numbers that way, or how are you getting your data?
So yes, not TLO, but we have one specific person that 8 hours a day, all they do is go on the county records and pull files, whether it's inheritance lists, whether it's HOA liens, sheriff sales. That's their job, to pull those PDFs, convert them into Excel.
Mm-hmm.
She then sends it over to our marketing person, which is another VA, and then she skip traces it. She organizes the list for all the systems, cold calling, RBM, SMS, whatever the case may be.
Gotcha.
Unofficially.
And unofficially, yeah. Unofficially.
But it's all public records.
Yeah, it's all public
Yeah.
records.
So, code enforcement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Every now and then we just buy the bulk list from PropStream that keeps us going to fill in, because those lists that we're pulling from the counties, they're very small.
Yeah.
So you still need to pull like your big absentee, high equity stuff from PropStream. Yeah.
Gotcha. Are you and then who are you guys using for skip tracing?
Skip fast.
Skip fast.
I've heard
It's
of
our white label for batch tracing.
Oh, for batch?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so this is
Are you guys part of batch at all?
No, we were not. We did not get that invite.
Gotcha. Might be a good thing now. I mean, maybe on the run up, we'll see. They're gonna have to shift gears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So, so you're gonna do 20 or 30 deals try a month next year. That's your aim.
I just want to skip over because you guys said 3 to 20. Like, what are you guys implementing to make that jump? 3 to 5 to 15 to 20.
So we hired someone who's gonna be our TC.
Gotcha.
Right. So it was actually someone that was in our acquisitions, and we liked him. He's good for the company, but he
didn't fit the role.
And so we're like, well, we like him, so we think he's the right person on the bus, just in the wrong seat.
Mm-hmm.
And so we moved him from acquisitions to transaction coordinator, and we kind of see him eventually being dispositions.
Gotcha.
We'll see if that happens, if he can rise to that occasion.
I thought that's one of the harder roles to train. Is just
Dispositions?
because it's really so relationship based. The person has to have real estate experience, because you're, especially in Seattle, is permitting stuff is such an issue that there's higher level conversations that have to go on there.
So I think on the PI they have to be an adapter, right?
I think they just have to be a relationship person.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, honestly, I think that he'll either step up to a role he won't.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way it goes. So I think that's the biggest thing we need as far as is just one other person. I mean, I could be completely ignorant. Maybe we'll need more people, but if we need, we have an in-house recruiter. I don't think you met Ken. He works for my head company, which is the holdings company for all the other companies. And so he works for me as a recruiter. So whenever we need anything, he's like, "Kim, we need this."
Gotcha.
And he'll go find them.
And then plus you got Max. So I mean, he's a bulldog. You just work late every night.
And we got killer people. Like they'll rise again. They'll rise to the occasion. They'll step up. Not permanently. We don't want anyone to burn out, but temporarily.
But to go back and kind of elaborate a little bit on your question, is our goal for acquisition guys is just to lock up deals, right? Like lead comes in, book the appointment, follow up, get the contract, and that's it. Like that's why we put Marco in that position, that TC position. And we're thinking ahead, right? Like it's not happening right now, but we'd rather have it there. If it happens, it's there already. But that's kind of our goal. So like even our acquisition guys, they're now officially, as of last month, 100% in Podio. Like they don't go outside of that at all.
Gotcha.
Contract goes in out of Podio, comes back into Podio. Opens up escrow from Podio, comes back into Podio. So
we got 2 acquisition guys back here, and then we hired another one in New Mexico 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So you have 3 total acquisition guys
in-house.
Yeah. Wow.
And then 1 in New Mexico.
That'll do it. Yeah.
And you got your son doing some work for you. Yeah. So talk a little bit about the father-son relationship and how he's doing, because he's 20.
Yeah.
20. Yeah.
So he was actually our videographer first. Like the kid's pretty sharp, right? And he just wasn't organized. We were having that challenge.
Gotcha.
Like
he's a salesperson.
Yeah, he was a salesperson. So this is a funny story. Is so we were basically Steve hired Leo, which is the one doing videographer and stuff, but he was still doing work for me. But even with me, he was slacking. I'm like, there's something wrong here. So Ken, who was our recruiter, did a PI on him, and so Ken got the PI back, the predictive index, and Ken's all he said was, "Wait, something's wrong. something's wrong. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Ken? He's like, why do you keep saying something's wrong? He goes, hold on. He went and printed out, like, your son is in the wrong row. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, he's a maverick. He's a sell. He should be in the bullpen with the guys. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So he read the PI, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, he fit the role of acquisitions.
And he's doing really well now in that role. And it's funny because he actually told Max he wanted to be a cold caller. And Max was
a long time ago, yeah.
Max was like, no, you don't. Yeah. Turns out he did.
He did. Yeah. Cole's trying to get my 2-year-old to start cold calling for me, but he gets shy on the phone a little bit,
He has trouble actually when you get to words.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing about him working here is that he's not like directly working with me. So he's got Ruben. Ruben's been with us for 2.5 years. Ruben's a shark. He's a killer, and he's very loyal to the company as well. So.
And what are some things you found that help keep guys that long? Because so many wholesale real estate companies, it's like a revolving door of people.
So someone learned from Steve, right? Like the golden handcuffs, like you got to create a culture that provides not just a position for them. Like our guys have the opportunity to be, buy their own the real estate, become wealthy, right?
So they can see futures for themselves beyond just a check.
For themselves. So like one of our on our VTO, right? Or what is it? Where it says our goal for our guys is for them to have freedom through real estate.
Love it.
And not just selling, right? Not just acquisitions.
Our purpose,
yes.
And do you give them the opportunity to buy the deals they lock up too, like 1 a year or something?
Absolutely.
And do they take advantage of that?
Not yet,
but they will.
Gotcha.
But the opportunity's there.
Yeah. Do you guys give them a chance to, like, say that's some extra cash to invest in a deal? If you went and bought down a flip, and we talked to the guys earlier that they'll give people in their company, and I've done this before where I'm like, hey, I'll pay you 10% interest on your money, whether it's $10, $20, or $30,000, whatever, to get your money working and be invested into that property if we're flipping it. Have you guys ever?
We haven't approached that. I think that's a great idea. Right now, what we have is, we have we're working on getting our creative side going. And once we do, one of the things we're going to offer is, we took this straight from Matthew Simmons, is every 3 deals that you close from us, you have the opportunity to buy one of our creative deals. So now you're not needing as much money.
Gotcha.
I love that.
To get into real estate.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, but going back, I mean, you're not gonna be able to keep everybody. Like, there's no way. Like, these are sales guys, but you just have to build a culture that that they love being around. Like, they don't feel like they're coming to work.
Yeah, if it's just about the money, they're not going to stick around. So like they know that we care.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest.
And want them to do well long term.
Correct. Yeah.
And you guys have like team outings you're doing, I'm sure, all that kind of stuff with masks on.
We went out to, I think, right before Thanksgiving, we all went and had sushi and stuff. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, masked up, right?
So he wasn't invited.
Yeah.
Oh, you never invite?
That was my invite.
Yeah. So
I'll see it on the credit card statement.
Yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about you guys are doing some sales training here, and I think you're implementing. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about what that is, what you're selling, maybe what you're providing, and how that program works?
Sure. I think one of the things that right now data is so prevalent. We went. If you go back even like 15 years ago, or even 20 years ago, on the realtor side, the value of the realtor was that they knew the properties are for sale. That was it. Like, that was the value.
There's a book, right? There's a book, and then you went and got the MLS book.
Right. That's what you're paying the realtor for. And so there was a lot of fight once they moved to IDX. And the reason why was that they were no longer the gatekeeper for data. And now they actually had to provide the service.
Yeah.
And so for here on the wholesaling side, for a while, I had I missed out on a huge opportunity because I was doing well with PPC and I didn't like crush it. I didn't know what I had. Right. And so right now, if you get in the door, no big deal. Like, you're going in the door with 5 other investors. But 10 years ago, you're going in the door. If you were there, you probably got the deal.
Correct.
Right. And you're probably making 40, 50K on that deal.
Yeah, totally.
And so right now, with data being prevalent, everyone's pulling the same list. There's no secret list anymore.
That's true.
Everyone's.
There is.
Everyone.
That's
$10,000. Steve Trang list.
Yeah, Steve Trang. Yeah, super secret list. It's gonna go on sale. Super Steve.
So the list, everyone's got pretty much the same data. And if not, I mean, we pulled the whole freaking county last year.
That's what we did too.
Yeah. So there's no list.
Yeah.
All right. And then everyone's skip tracing pretty much the same companies, right? It's either Bash, Sherpa,
Call Magic Leads.
All right.
Well, but it's the same providers. So there's IDI, Informian,
DevPoint. It's all the same.
Yeah.
So everyone's got the same phone numbers. Everyone's calling either with Mojos, then call or call tools, and they're texting with Sherpa or Bash. Like, everyone's using the same platforms. So how do you separate yourself today?
Lambos.
That's your proof of funds. But basically how you win today is you've got to be different. So you right now are the difference. And so what we sell is how to sell you better. And I think what happens a lot of wholesalers, they'll walk in, it's like, well, here's my offer. And, the reason why it's this low is I got to make money on it. And, we got to replace the windows, the roof, and all this other stuff, basically calling their kid ugly, right? When you're talking about the house. And it's this adversarial relationship. And basically what we teach, our sales style, is really more about how can I, when I meet with Cole, how can I see the world through Cole's eyes, right? How can I feel what Cole's feeling? How can I make sure that I understand all his concerns and help him not just talk about this foreclosure, because you guys have talked to guys in foreclosures where it's like, foreclosure is no big deal, but it is a big deal.
Yeah.
So what we've got to do is we got to get Cole to feel that foreclosure right then and there, so he'll feel compelled to act. So we're going to talk about, what's going on with foreclosure. Why are you late? Let's talk about those hours. What we try to do about it. Who else knows about this foreclosure? Are you fighting with your wife about it? What did your wife say when she saw that foreclosure notice taped to the door? Like, these are real conversations where now as a homeowner, you're like, okay, this foreclosure is a big deal. Right? We're going to be talking about your maxed out credit card, your car being repossessed, all those calls you're avoiding. We're talking about that. Whereas most people's like, yeah, we got this foreclosure, so you have to sell.
Yeah.
Whereas no, it's no big deal. But now once we get through this point, now you feel compelled to sell.
Yeah, so you're not like pressing on the wound. Like a lot of guys will call pre-foreclosure list, like, "Hey, I know you're in trouble." Like, just stomp on the wound.
And they're like,
you guys are you're talking about it more as like a friend or on the same team.
Yeah, the way you got to look at it, and obviously, like, there's a quote, right? It says that sales should not be like a high stake poker game, right? It should be more like a Broadway dance, because like the more pressure you put on them, like they're not going to sell to you. And so with having a sales system and a framework, that's going to help you to do that. And that's what kind of Steve's elaborating on, right? Like knowing that you're going to go in there. There's so much people going in there before making offers. You guys know this. You walk in, okay, where do you want to start looking at the property at?
Yeah.
Like you're basically, they treat you like a commodity, right? Like this is just like another.
Pre-COVID, I would always go in if it was a lady, or usually I'd be like, I'm a hugger, and it immediately breaks the ice, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then I'll say, you see pictures, you talk about, oh, this is your kid, maybe their kid's been struggling with something, and I'm like, oh, I've struggled with this, or and like, then how do you make it real? And our biggest belief is, if it's a good deal today, it's going to be a good deal tomorrow. They're going to work with me because they know, like, and trust me.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not the guy that's, has a contract. I never take a contract with me. I mean, there's a blank one in the car in case for anything reason, but at the end of the day, it's, how do you get this person that they're a human being? Like, I'm friends with a lot of sellers on Facebook that I bought houses from. Wow. Because I actually care about them.
Yeah. You want to walk in as harmless as possible, right? We talked about it today in our sales coaching call. Like, you don't want to walk in there and be that guy with the briefcase. Okay. With your tie and stuff.
Nice. I like that. You don't show, and you also dress to your occasion, right?
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's always jeans and a polo shirt, and I'm the same way too. I don't walk in with anything. I mean, I want them to say, look at this poor, pitiful guy. Like, how's he going to buy my house? And then they're signing the contract at the end, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think the other thing too is a lot of people have a hard time establishing the rules. Is they feel uncomfortable, like, and you and I have different styles on this, but if I show up, it's like, hey, Cole's gonna be yes or a no, and that's the kind of like the approach, and we're gonna soften it. It's gonna sound really comfortable, but I think the big thing is a lot of people are afraid to say, like, if it makes sense, we're gonna put everything in writing, because they're like, I don't want to put that pressure up on them. But then really, if you're never gonna put the pressure on them to ever sign a contract, then
I think I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
100%.
Like my company, we still, all of our deals are still signed over the phone.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But
you could do that over the phone too.
Yeah,
you
works.
can set up the rules over the phone as well too.
I mean, it's just
just before the call's over, it's either gonna be like, if you say it's gonna be yes or no, either way, it's totally fine. If you want to say no, like, that's okay. And if you say anything besides a yes, you need to think about it, you need to sleep on it, I'm just gonna take that as a no, because that's something you're comfortable
I like that.
and that's all it is. Because
the thing is, like, whether you are on the phone with them, even if you don't do that, you're gonna find out at some point that they're not gonna do business with you. After they either stolen your information, or after they taking your advice, taking your offer, and
when you get that list from the other wholesalers, like, I was at that house.
There's nothing that like kills you more. You're like, what the fuck? 2 months later, I forgot to follow this guy, and there it is. $30,000 more than, or what less than I would have paid for. Yeah, than I would pay for it.
Yeah. We're big on having a sales process, right? Because like you got to remember, even every homeowner or every seller that you visit, like they have a process, right? And if you don't go in with some type of a system or your own process, like you're gonna fall directly into theirs, no matter what.
And their process is walk around the house, give me your best offer, I'll call you back later.
You gotta break that cycle somehow.
Yeah. And you gotta get some of the snap. That's why I do the hugs or do something right off the bat to really break it. I'm a normal person. I bring out pictures of my kid.
Gotcha.
You know, I have my VAs listen to all my phone calls and make notes for me.
Allegedly. Who accused you of that?
Well, no, I mean unofficially. That's what I meant. Yeah, unofficially. But like my lady in my office found out that we were pregnant before anybody else, because even anybody, because I'm telling people what's going on in my life, and I'm bringing them into my life and I'm going into theirs.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then all of a sudden we're friends and we're family. And so how do you connect? And then it's like you said, John, I know you got to sell here. Is it going to be a yes or a no? If it's going to be a yes, we got to get this process. Here's how this process works, and don't give it,
Well, there's a reason why they're calling your I can close in 10 days letter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're not calling you because they want to hang out with you for 10 days.
I don't know. Have you hung out with Cole? He's pretty fun.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So, all right. So, where I know we got to get going here. So where can guys find out more information about your sales training or your podcast or your guys' stuff?
Yeah. So for our podcast is Real Estate Disruptors. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. There's 3 different ways you can consume it. There's more than that. But
you can watch them live too. I watch them live on Facebook.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's a good way too. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then as far as our sales training, so we got Disruptors.com. If someone wants to, work with us for a year-long period to work on sales and also work in their business where you can have a life where you actually can spend time with your family. You can actually do what you want when you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got that mentorship. That's a year-long. You go to Disruptors.com to find out about that. If you're interested only in the sales training, it's disruptors.com/max, M-A-X. And there you get the videos, it's like a video course, but anyone that buys that video course can also attend a live event. So we actually have an event on Fridays in the classroom next door. And we're just do all day sales training, and we're going to hit it from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Jeez. We're going to be going over sales, our sales style, role playing. And that's where the rubber hits the road, like, you can read this in the book.
Yep.
You can hear about it on a podcast. But when we give them the script and they're struggling in front of the classroom, because we make them, we force them to do it. And now, they're just like, okay, I don't know how to say this expression, how I word this with the right tonality, which is really important. Because you can say this, you can totally say something where it just comes off the wrong way. Because are you married?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so when's the last time you said something and you knew your wife was pissed?
Oh, probably every day, but there's at least once.
I saw it happen last night.
Yeah. But what happened? Like, you said something, and it was innocent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was nothing bad.
Yeah.
But it came off the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so we talk about the tonality being so critical to the delivery, and we do that in the role play in the classroom.
I have a perfect example. So I've done this and screwed this up, and one of the kids that my partner's son that was on a seller appointment for us a couple weeks ago. You go to these houses, they're maybe a little bit of a hoarder. They got a ton of stuff. They live there forever. And he's like, yeah, we'll just take care of all the junk.
Oh.
and so I had to have a 30-minute call with the lady afterwards, understanding, but I made that mistake. Like you say it and you don't mean it in that way. Like, we'll take care of all your, whatever you leave behind. I said I would get a dumpster for the stuff the first time I did it. And the lady's immediately, the appointment's dead right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's not junk or garbage stuff. That's so
yeah.
Now we donate everything to Goodwill. I take whatever it is, right?
I hand deliver every single thing to Goodwill.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Like, for us, when we tell them when we're in a situation like that, we just tell them, look, you can take whatever's valuable for you and you can leave the rest.
Yep.
And that's
it. Yeah. Sometimes they want to. I had this lady, probates. A lot of times they'll be like, this is the heirlooms. I just can't get rid of them. Nobody wants to take them, but they're still in good condition. Like, I just actually got 40 years worth of National Geographics from this friggin' house. But it's fun. My kid's gonna look at them. But
right.
So they want to know that it's going off, because then they're not feeling bad about throwing away their dead grandpa's stuff or whatever.
That's
right.
A good point. Yeah.
So awesome. So disruptors.com, disruptors /max.
You can find you guys on Instagram too, probably.
Yeah. So you can find me at Real Max Jimenez. So Real Max Jimenez. So
Nice.
follow me if you guys are following me.
at Steve.Trang.
And I saw you hop on TikTok, right? I saw a compost.
Yeah. What's the blue check? What's that mean?
On Instagram, he's official now.
Verified. I'm a real influencer.
Gee, so we're here with a celebrity.
Oh man, hey, can you sign my chest right now?
So there's no fake Steve Trang.
This is a real Steve Trang.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. And then you just got to figure out how to get instead of Facebook Live, Instagram Live. I feel like that is that.
Instagram Live, you can't engage is the biggest problem.
Yes.
Right. So like Facebook Live, you can comment, you can like, you can share it, whatever. Like Instagram Live, it's just once it's done, you can repost it as a story, but it's not really it. Not the same.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right, cool guys. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I know we kind of winged it, but it's awesome.
It was good.
Getting to know you, and we'll go from there. Have a great rest of your day.
Cool. Thank you guys.
Thanks.